Someday, if you are in the right place and if you are lucky, you will look up and see an eagle on the wing. It's a sight to stop your heart. I've seen bald eagles in Alaska where they're threatened, and in Wyoming where they are threatened, and in New England where they are threatened to the edge of extinction. The national bird is an endangered species. Lem Tucker has been in Maine looking at eagles.
Eagles have always fascinated people. Ancient Romans worshiped them. Isaiah admonished that those who waited upon the Lord would mount up with wings as eagles. Unique to North America is the bald eagle. Since 1782, even before there was a Constitution, it has stood as the symbol of the United States. No thanks to Ben Franklin, who thought the bird of prey of such terrible moral character that he pushed for the turkey as the nation's emblem. Usually wise old Ben lost that one, and so in one form or another, the bald eagle has come to mean the United States of America. Once there were tens of thousands of them, and no one seems to know just when their numbers began declining, but since World War II, they have disappeared at a devastating rate. Partly because what is often good for men, or at least seems so at the time, is disastrous for wildlife. Take pesticides, especially DDT. After years of use, it began to permeate the food chain of eagles. Before long, their bodies were so contaminated that mating for some produced only infertile eggs. Others gave up even trying. This is Cobscook Bay in Maine. In one way or another, more than 25% of all the bald eagles left in the northeastern United States depend on the land in and around this area for their own survival. That's because this is one of the few shoreline areas still relatively undisturbed by man. But now, men and eagles are engaged in a fight for this area, and so far, the eagles are winning. 6 years ago, the Pittston Company, annual sales $1.5 billion, owner of Brink's Armored Car Company, coal mines, and a retail oil business, decided it wanted to build a refinery at Eastport, Maine, right on Cobscook Bay. It took 4 years to win the okay from Maine's environmental agency, which came over the objections of some environmentalists. They worried about oil spills from large tankers, which would have to maneuver their way through narrow channels and some of the country's most treacherous tides. And an oil spill here, they said, would endanger all wildlife. Despite that, Maine said yes. The Federal Environmental Protection Agency issued Pittston 1 permit, and only one more was needed. 2 weeks ago, it was denied, citing a threat to the continued existence of the bald eagle in the northeastern United States. Another roadblock for Pittston, and an unwarranted one, says Vice President Arnold Kaulakis.
We're very disappointed in that action. We believe that we are not endangering or threatening the eagle or its habitat.
Well, now, you're not dealing now with... this is no snail darter. This is no furbished lousewort, which is another one of those creatures none of us heard of.
Because I'm sure you understand that the eagles exist in great quantities in the northwest of the U.S. and in Alaska. And thus, even if there were some impact on the area in which we're talking, the species would not be eliminated.
Also unhappy, the city manager of Eastport.
Well, human beings are in danger, too. They're becoming an endangered species when the eagle means more than jobs and a decent standard of living for the people who live around here. I mean, there's got to be a priority somewhere, and it's got to be sensible.
This is part of Baxter's concern. An old city. Once 5,500 people lived here, today about 2,000. It is the easternmost point in the continental United States, and even during its good times, when its fishing industry thrived, not many people wanted to be here. Because one reason this area is so ideal for eagles is that it is still pretty much as it was 100 years ago. The refinery, say some Eastport residents, would mean Time no longer passes Eastport by. But even environmentalists are not jubilant over the Eagle decision.
I'm delighted that they decided to block it, but I think that there's a danger in people thinking that the Eagle's the only reason. If there's an oil spill, the way the currents work off the Maine coast, currents take it right in along close to the coast, which means it's going to wash up along 50 miles of coast. So it's not just the Eastport economy that's going to be affected. It could be all of eastern Maine.
In your heart, do you think that decision's going to hold up?
I don't know. I fear that Pittston's going to find a way to get around it.
A few days ago, Pittston announced that it would appeal the decision. But even if it finally wins that one, Canada controls the waters leading to Eastport's harbor and so far is unwilling to permit large tankers into the area. But for now, the battle lines are here. No one denies that Pittston's $750 million investment would be a boon to Eastport's economy. That is a measurable worth. But what is this worth?